Revelation 2761. From the 31st of May 1943. Right cognition means higher development. For a human being to have the right knowledge means the maturing of his soul, for knowledge is the knowledge of the meaning and purpose of earthly life, of his earthly task, of the right relationship to God, of God's wisdom, omnipotence and love, and of the original beginning and the final goal of every creature. It follows from this that the knowing human being will conduct his earthly life in a completely different way than if he lives in ignorance of it. He will strive spiritually in order to come closer to the most perfect being, the Creator of heaven and earth. He will try to assimilate himself to this highest being and thus also mature accordingly, that is, develop upwards. Therefore it is extremely important to strive for the right knowledge, the realization. It is important to penetrate the truth and thus to request it, otherwise it cannot be supplied to people. The human beings must always be directed towards receiving divine wisdom. He must acknowledge God as the original source of wisdom and desire to be allowed to draw from this source, and if he opens himself to him, he must allow the living water to overflow into himself. Then he will attain fullest realization and be exceedingly blessed already on earth. Then he will have broken the spell which separates him from the spiritual kingdom. He will already be connected to the spiritual kingdom, for the knowledge he now receives is spiritual knowledge, it belongs to the spiritual kingdom, and thus the human being is an aspirant of the spiritual kingdom as soon as spiritual knowledge is imparted to him from there. Earthly life is now only a transition for him. His thoughts dwell more above earth and he is drawn with all his senses into the kingdom from which deepest knowledge flows to him. And this longing for the spiritual kingdom also makes him strive for perfection. He lives his life consciously, he works on himself because the knowledge of the goal spurs him on to eager striving, because he knows that earthly life is only the means to an end, the preparatory stage for the life in the beyond, which shall bring him spiritual freedom, light and beatitude. Realization is a great progress on earth. Anyone who lives in realization no longer belongs exclusively to earth, but his soul often dwells where its right home is. The thoughts of the one who lives in realization wander upwards, they escape from the heaviness of earth, and this is always advantageous for the soul which disregards the body and allows itself to be guided by the spirit in the human being to where spiritual treasures await it, where spiritual friends instruct it and offer it the eternal truths. The soul feels at ease in this kingdom and only returns to earth with reluctance, yet it takes spiritual knowledge with it, and thus it continues to mature and develop upwards. Amen.